All right, guys, in chapter 21, lines 53 to 67, I just want to call your attention to a few things to make sure you're keeping up with reading here. Note right here that you're continuing the story of Julius interrogating Marcus about why his clothes were dirty. You might remember that Marcus was in a pugna, a fight, with Titus and Quintus. Note that it is a pugna indigna here, unworthy. Think of English derivatives like dignity, blah, blah, blah. And note that there is a connection here between the notion that this pugna is indigna, and then Julius says nam certe for certainly non decet. Decet is used always in this third person form as an impersonal verb, meaning that it is not proper, it is not seemly, or it is not becoming. All right? So it is not becoming or it is not proper. Pulsare, you'll usually have an infinitive after decet. All right? It could, of course, be before it, but the point is that decet will usually take an infinitive. So it is not right or proper. Pulsare to pulsare puerum minorem said, and then here you have a contrast, or not so much a contrast with decet, but a contrast indicating that he's going to say that there's something even worse than that. So non decet, that's indignum, but indignissimum est, it is most unworthy. Duos pueros cum uno pugnare. Note right here that you have an accusative infinitive construction. And then the hoc right here refers to the entire statement bracketed right here. Hoc. This, right, nullo modo excusari potest. Note that excuso, excusare is not a deponent verb, so make sure you translate that with passive force. And then he tells him, noli mihi plus narrare de hacre. Noli here I want to call your attention to. This is somewhat of an odd looking form for you perhaps, but that is your second person singular imperative form of nolo, nole, nolui, to not wish or not to wish. So note that as a second person singular imperative, you're effectively saying don't wish to narrare, to tell or to relate, plus more mihi to me about this matter. But in effect, in Latin, if you have noli and narrare or any other infinitive, it's effectively telling someone not to do something. So noli narrare, don't wish to narrate, effectively just means do not narrate or do not tell. You might know that age is simply, it is technically an imperative, but in effect it loses some of its imperative force and effectively just means come on. And then this little one right here, e, is the second singular imperative form of eo ire ibi itum, which you might remember means to go. So you might also see this in conjunction with one of the prepositionally enhanced forms of eo ire, like ad e, go to, or ab e, get out. So he tells him e, in cubiculum tuum, ac, and then you have another one of these imperatives here. This one's a little bit easier to identify because you might know that muto, mutare, mutavi, mutatum as a first conjugation verb will have an imperative of this sort. Note as a derivative something like mutans. All right. And then you'll see that davos tibialia vestimenta David. That should be easy enough. Make sure you note that that is future tense. Then you have Marcus daum sequitur in cubiculum. Note that sequitur is from sequor, sequi, secutus. This is a deponent verb, so it looks passive, but make sure you translate this with active sense. And note that it is also present. As far as the principal parts here with secutus, you might recognize English derivatives such as consecutive or prosecute. So Marcus sequitur davum in cubiculum ubi, and the ubi refers back to the cubiculum, ubi cruorem et sordes e facie manibus genibus lawat. So here, lawat is your main verb, to be construed with the direct object of cruorem and sordes, and then he does that from his facie manibus and genibus, right? So that's one unit of sense. And then ac, and he, vestimenta mutat. Note that you have the repetition of that same verb mutat to change from up here in the imperative form. And then puer, vestem sordidam ponit, fairly easy enough. You have your subject, verb, direct object right here. Aliamque vestem mundam et candidam induit. So note that there's the very express contrast between the sordidam vestem and the mundam et candidam one. All right, and note that ponit and induit are express opposites here. Even though pono, ponere technically just means to place, here it means something like to place off or to take off, to set down. And then interim, meanwhile, Aemilia atrium intra, this one should be easy enough. Mater familias, watch out for this form right here. You guys may not have seen this, but the forms mater familias and pater familias, these are old, they represent old genitive forms. So in more recent Latin, you would be expecting mater familiae, right, as your genitive. But here you have mater familias. This is construed as one unit of sense. Just means the mother of the family. Take that as one unit of sense. Statim immediately sordes et vestigia marci in solo conspicit. Here solo, think the ground. And inquit, and she says sordidum est hoc solum, easy enough. And then right here you have this form aliquis, which I don't think you guys have encountered before. She says aliquis pedibus sordidis in solo mundo ambulavit. Here you have an ablative describing the respect in which someone did something, and then simply where he did it. Ambulavit, you guys know. And then for the form of aliquis, take a look at this chart if you need to know the declension of it. Effectively, it's the same as the interrogative and relative pronouns with the prefix ali added to it, and it's indefinite, so it means someone or something, depending on whether you have the masculine feminine forms or the neuter forms. I do want to note to you, though, that if you have aliquis or any of its declined forms and it comes after if it comes after si or nisi, even if a few words separate it, typically the ali will be dropped off. So you'll never see si aliquis or nisi aliquis. You'll always see si quis or si quem or si quius, etc., etc. All right. And then you have your simple interrogative, quis per ostium intravit, and then she asks again, aliquis e familia nostra, was it anyone? Note that right here, intravit is supposed to effectively function as the verb of the next sentence as well. All right, hopefully that was easy enough. Make sure you guys have that all covered before class.